Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Taking Over. I am, of course, OLED Ed Fraj, joined as always by the natural Ash Bizarro. And we're here with a special guest today. We got the play-by-play voice, sports anchor, reporter for WRAL, former professional wrestler, documentary producer, overall just busy dude. Chris Lee, thank you for joining us. Greatly appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me on. I think the last time you guys talked about ASÉ, somebody happened to send me the link and I was listening in live and I was like, okay, I like what they're doing. And you gave us some nice compliments with commentary. And so, here to answer any questions and all that good stuff, man. So excited to have you guys or to be with you guys today. So.
Yeah. So one of the things we want to talk about, and it goes with exactly what you were just saying, we use you guys now. You are the measuring stick when it comes to independent professional wrestling commentary between you and Swole. Wow, what is the connection? Like what makes it so unique and special between you and Swole on commentary?
I think some of it's just naturally like we've known each other for a long time. I used to be a pro wrestler between like 2012 and 2016 on the scene in North Carolina. So, I was always around guys like Trevor Lee, guys like Cedric Alexander. No Way Jose was in my training class. So we're cool together. So it was that Adam Page, like that was a nice little circle of people that was there. And so Cedric and Ariel Swole, they were dating then. And this is before they ended up getting married and of course had their beautiful daughter. And so there's a rapport there already. And so being able to see her start to train to become a pro wrestler, becomes a pro wrestler, blows up, gets signed early on, being a pro wrestler. And just the different things that they've gone through as a couple, I think there was already a rapport there. And then I think that's helped out. But then also just the fact that I think that I've been able to get a chance to see her personality. And as a broadcaster myself, I've been, in broadcasting for about 20 years now. You get a chance to learn how to get the personality out of the person that you're working with. And so I think it's just it's a beautiful combination of two people who love pro wrestling and, have a history together.
Yeah, it's definitely a very unique and wonderful chemistry that we both, and initially we're like, commentary is great on this. And then we're getting messages and I'm like, I can't look at my Twitter right now, but I see it blowing up. I'm like, my Twitter never blows up. People blow up Astrid's Twitter. They don't blow up mine. So after we get off the show, we saw that you were messaging us during the show and we're like, wow. So we definitely wanted to reach out to you, try to get you on.
Absolutely.
Talk to us a little bit more about Darius Lockhart's incredible vision of ASÉ Wrestling and what it means for representation. Because we talk here with Astrid, especially about the Puerto Rico show with the Backlash show and how representation matters and how huge of an opportunity that was. Talk about ASÉ putting another group of people on the map, making sure that representation matters, making sure that everybody's represented in a way that they want, that puts them in their best light, to show people like me who don't get the opportunity to see stuff like this all the time, to be able to see a different side of the world.
So where it comes from, a lot of Black wrestlers back, when I was wrestling, we talk about the similar things we'd go through around that time. And if you are a Black pro wrestler in North Carolina, you may have heard things that I heard, like, you're really good. We would book you on this show, but we already have somebody that fits your demographic. What that means is we have our one Black guy. He's Cedric Alexander. He's great. We don't need another Black guy, right? That's pretty much, what it means. And so like you get kind of booked into a hole. You either have to be the really strong former athlete or the really athletic guy, the dancing guy, or the foreign mute, whatever that does whatever emotes out there, to act like you're, I guess, from the jungle. And so we just those are conversations that were always happening. And then at some point it's like, well, what are we going to do about this? There was an earlier version of ASÉ that we were talking about that if Darius ever decides to tell the name of it, I'll let him do that, because it was a name that he came up with. He was always gonna be the guy to lead this, but it more so was going to be born out of frustration. What stopped it was our first show. We were planning started 2019. First show was going to be June 2020. You can guess what stopped it. And so things happen. People get signed. People's lives change. People move to different places. There was a huge core group of people, including Cedric, including Swole, including Suge D, including Saieve Al Sabah. We were all talking and planning this out. And this 2020 happens, things happens in different people's lives. And at certain point, Darius was like, you know what? I got to bring this back. And this time I'm going to call it ASÉ. What do you think about it? And that was the conversation we had in 2022. He took some time to plan. And then we came out in 2023. And his whole thing was more so this time, let's just do it out of love and celebration of who we are. We don't have to necessarily stick it to anybody. But if you're Black, we want to make sure that there's a platform for you. No matter who you are, no matter what part of the diaspora you represent. You could be light skinned, you could be dark skinned, you could be from England, you could be from Africa, you can be, overweight, you could be skinny, you could be tall, you could be trans, you could be gay, you could be straight, you could be woman, you could be man. Is anything. We want to celebrate you for that, and show that unity within that, and show how different it is. Like, now that the elephant has been in the room, has been addressed, we're all Black. Now you get a chance to see us as individuals. We don't have to fit the certain archetypes that have been set up forth before us. And so that's pretty much where it came from. And, we debuted in December 2023, and it's kind of been a nice ride ever since then.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, I've heard of the promotion before. I've seen some of the names, obviously, but we were sitting here, we retooled the show. We were looking for things, and I want something different, because we're constantly going to the New England area, because I'm from here. There's a ton of pro wrestling here, and I'm like, I want to keep branching out, going to different places, trying to experience wrestling in a different landscape. And that's when ASÉ popped up on our radar. I was like, we could do this, and I'm like, let's do it. And it was such an eye-opening experience, especially the pre-show, where you had the music and the wrestling and all of it being this like free pre-show, not only for the fans online, but for the fans in the room. Mm-hmm. Because when we watched ASÉ 10, it was like, you can come on in for the pre-show. Remember, we're gonna boot you out when it comes time for the real show if you don't got no tickets. But I'm just like, that's such a vibe and an environment that I just love. Does ASÉ have a meaning? Does the name ASÉ have a particular meaning in anything?
Yeah, let me look it up so I can make sure I'm saying it the right way. But it comes from, it's Nigerian. I want to say it's Yoruba. It's a Yoruba. So it means kind of like let it be. So like, I've always heard ASÉ as a kid. It's like, it could also be used at the end of a prayer. So if you're together with a bunch of people and you're praying, the end of it is ASÉ. And so it's let it be, it's creation. So it's this positive, thing. It's kind of like this all encompassing, type of word. It's hard to explain. It's more so like one of those things where if you use it, you kind of know what it means. It's like a word that has a few different meanings, but you get the meaning depending on the context of it. But it could be let it be, or, or creation, those types of things. So it's more so just the creation of, traditional classic pro wrestling, just through a different lens. One of the things that, like, I'll let people tell their own stories, but, we have friends signed to different companies, and where, you can see that different companies might present themselves in a certain type of way. In some ways, they're two sides of the same coin by the way that they present certain characters. I would even say that, all companies have a tough time really presenting true diversity. You may have more on a particular roster, but then when you think about the storylines and who's involved in what, and if a belt or something else is created just to give somebody this, but they can't really break into the main thing over there, like what's really happening there. I think a lot of companies really have a tough time with that. So this is just taking that and just presenting it differently. There's all Japanese organizations. There's all, Hispanic organizations. And so we are starting off like this. And at a certain point, we're going to open it up. Right. But we wanted to have the baseline of like, we want to show and give more opportunities for African-American wrestlers right now, and show that we can be seen in different lights. And so, but there will be other representation at a certain point at ASÉ as well.
That's fantastic. Astra, do you have anything you want to ask before we get into tonight's show?
Not as particularly, but I just want to say, like, I think more than anything, what Ed and I were talking about the commentary through was like, I love the fact that us as new viewers, at the first time we watched ASÉ, that your commentary helped us get through like the whole story that you're giving us, because you talk about not only the people and the characters, but you talk about their background so much too, and you tell us, oh, on the last show this happened. I was like, okay, that's good to know, because I didn't watch the last show. I'm just jumping into this one as the 1st one. So it's always great, because if somebody stumbles upon, say, that episode the way we did, they get the full context of it like the way we did, even though we didn't watch it, and this is the first time we, like to say, discovered it. If you think about it that way, for that new viewer, then they can jump in and feel comfortable with what they're watching, because you're definitely telling us not only who's who, but like when you're in a tag team match, we had one of the shows that had a set of twins. They didn't even tell us which twin was which, so like in our notes we're like, one of them wrestling. So it feels great when you can write with details, say, okay, this person's this one because Chris told me this is the person, and this like Chris told me this is, they dress this way because of this, and they do this, and like so much of their background that we enjoyed. And that's why your commentary as well was definitely our favorite so far, because the detailing was just amazing and top notch to begin with.
Thank you. Darius is big on telling stories. You don't really get a lot of true storytelling sometimes in independent pro wrestling. The thing that usually sets independent pro wrestling apart is when it's really good, you're going to get amazing matches. A lot of times there's no background, though. There's no reason for what's happening. And so he wanted to basically let's tell some stories. Let's get people used to telling stories, so that that's another thing that can make, wrestlers look different, right? Instead of you just being signed for your raw ability and all that, let's show you tell a really good story, and maybe somebody want to pull you in for that. I don't know how much we're talking about our last show that we had, but Billy Dixon cut an amazing promo during that show that I think rivals anything that was on television over the last year. Like, you could legit put it out there. It's just how many eyes are gonna get a chance to see it and to know it and see what's going on with it. And so that's our main thing. And then for me, I also do play-by-play for some basketball, some softball, college wrestling. I've done baseball. Haven't done football yet. I did a couple of jobs for CBS Sports, and just being the guy who works in televisions, worked in radio for a long time, does podcasting myself with the Carolina Panthers podcast that I do. I understand the importance of storytelling. I also understand the importance of, like, if you're on live radio and you've been talking for the last 3 minutes, somebody just tuned in. So you got to, at some point do a quick recap for the person who just tuned in. So they're not going to tune out. They got to know what's going on so they can be inside of, of the conversation as well. That's always in my head. Anybody that's worked with me on commentary, whether it's been D'Lo Brown, Gerard Bonner, Kazim Famuyide, Swole, the different people that we've had circulate. Suge D's worked with me as well. Faye Jackson. I always prepare notes for everybody. And that's one of the things that I do ahead of time. I'm trying to see if I don't know if I have an example with me. But I prepare notes ahead of time for each match and for each person. I try to, if you're going to debut at ASÉ, I try to have a one-on-one conversation with you beforehand if we have time. Sometimes it doesn't work out. I'm going to talk to you ahead of time at the venue. We're going to write down some notes, get some basics out the way so people know who you are, because I want to take something that's unique and be able to package it. Joseline Navarro shared something with me last year before she debuted at ASÉ. This incredible story of her, the way she became a pro wrestler. It's like she was running track at Ole Miss and was just at a random party as a bystander, innocent bystander. She gets shot, has to go back home. Her track career is done. And she's like, I saw my life flash before my eyes. I got to do what I really want to do. I want to be a pro wrestler. What an incredible story. And she had never said anything to anybody about it before. So anytime she's at ASÉ, I've got to bring it up because even though that's the story of the real person, that could get you invested in the character and to understand what they're doing it for. I'm a firm believer that it's not just up to the wrestler to get themselves over. I think that's one of those misnomers that we've put out there in pro wrestling. Everybody's involved. Your opponent is involved. Commentary is involved. The booking has to be correct, right? Sometimes fans talk mess about the wrestler. Sometimes they're booked in bad situations, and and they're trying to overcome that the best that they can. And so I think all of that is what makes somebody get over. And so I take that on as one of my responsibilities to try to get people over so that people care enough to want to come back.
Absolutely. And we'll go ahead and with that, we'll go into our first match. And that storytelling aspect is important here because you had Yahya taking on Bojack in our opening match. It was supposed to be a singles match.
Yeah.
But again, you talk about things happen and whatnot. Bishop Khan is unable to make this event. He has to go ahead and make a shot for AEW to tape for AEW Collision. So his opponent, Calvin Tankman, gets called out by Yahya here to bring him in and make it a triple threat match. This was fantastic. And I love there's a little piece that you threw into this match that made this match just a little bit better. And it was the fact that this school gymnasium isn't on the main floor of the school. That this school gymnasium is on a
second floor.
I know it's silly. But
the locker rooms are downstairs. They have to come upstairs to wrestle.
But when you're talking about guys the size of Bojack, Calvin Tankman, and then Yahya, who's probably the smallest of the three by the look of it, and still not a small individual.
Legit 300 pounds himself.
And these guys went out there. This wasn't just a big dude, just walk around stumble fight. Like, these dudes were jumping off the stairs. They were jumping on top of each other. One guy got power driven on the floor. Like, good God, these guys were going at it.
Yeah. That's one of the things we've had to do this entire year. So many things have not gone as planned originally. So we've had to pivot. And that was one of those like cool pivots. Like, okay, I'm glad it worked out that way. Just to peel back the curtain just a little bit, we always do a virtual production meeting with some of the key production people before a show, like usually like 3 or so days beforehand, so people kind of know what they're walking into and what we're trying to accomplish. Literally, we're wrapping up, and Darius looks at his phone and is like, AEW just called Khan and he can't make it. So like we just finished talking about the entire show and what was going to happen. And that happened. So then it's like back to the drawing board. What's the thing that makes the most sense? And at our last show, Yahya cut a promo and Calvin Tankman came out and interrupted and essentially made it seem like he was nothing. It's like, hey, I want Khan. So they had some tension there. And that was a seed that we wanted to plant beforehand. And now we just had to, sprout it a little bit early and have these guys go against each other in this. And it couldn't have gone any better. Like that was the perfect match to start off that show. I legit had so much fun. That was probably there's other highlights, other moments, but that was like the highlight for me because one, like Yahya is somebody I've known for, he started wrestling pretty much as I was finishing up. So I've known him pretty much all this time. And he deserves to be known outside of, ASÉ and the promotions he does in New York. He's so good at what he does. And I hope he becomes like a bigger name. And I've recently met Calvin Tankman over the last year. He's a spectacular guy. Like, great, you get a chance to talk to him. Bojack, another North Carolina guy who's up and coming, and was doing great, had great momentum with DPW. Sad to see them going away, but all three guys, I think, can be big, no pun intended, could be big players in pro wrestling for the next few years. And so seeing them all come together, and you're hoping that this is the match that gets people talking, and that other promotions see and want to copy that. Mm-hmm. And if that happens, then you did something awesome. And I really hope that's what ends up happening for this match. But it was a spectacular match, and I think the story that needed to be told was told, and there's still enough there left to, if we need to pull this back around, and if those three guys can be our AJ Styles, Samoa Joe, and Christopher Daniels, then they can do that. and I don't think anybody will have a problem with it.
No. Ashley, what did you think about this match in its entirety here?
It's like, even though I love the whole card, this was one of my favorite matches to begin with. Like, the fact that you see all these bigger guys moving the way they do, just so amazing to watch it. It's like, at one point, Bojack just pounces Yahya, and the way he does it, just like, how does he do that? And the way they just move is so smooth at the same time. It's so impressive to watch. And I love the things that you mentioned in commentary, for example, like telling us who's who, but also giving that opportunity for Calvin to join in the match and say, look, Khan couldn't be here, so we're just gonna have him join in and be a part of this match. And I love how, even under the circumstances that you had, that the story still made sense for him to join the match. And look at the amazing match. And during one point in commenting, you also mentioned, like, this is why you always have your gear, because you never know when an opportunity or something else will come up and changes happen, and then things like this arise out of nowhere. And that's a nice point to bring up in this situation. And I feel like it worked in the end, something positively, because this match is just incredible to watch. And it's like, they just remind me of this guys that kind of like a Dijak. They're like, you see him that they're so tall and so big, you just expect it to move the way they do, and then when they do, it's just like, how do they do that? But there's so many parts that just I loved it. And the pile driver was one that's really amazing to watch too. And it's like, and pointing out that was on the second floor. It's like, how were you still fine on the second floor with all these guys moving the way they do? But again, I feel like it was impressive. And even when you said, with only a couple of days to go, how they were able to build such an incredible match with so little time to do it as well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's all three of those guys are professionals. They're all really good. Yahya is the oldest out of that crew. Tankman probably has the more, notoriety. Bojack is a big riser over the last couple years through DPW, but they all, I think, in some ways are underestimated, right? And it's very easy to take those three guys and put them all in one box. They're bigger guys with dreadlocks, right? All three of them, but they are three completely different guys, right? So you can't box them in. They have three different wrestling styles. And I think it all works, together with it. So I'm happy with that match, and I think the fans were excited too. It was the perfect way to kind of wake things up for fans to start things off.
Yeah, Calvin Tankman does get the win to continue the story heading towards Bishop Khan. And then, of course, you had Yahya still a little bit irritated, still a little bit pissed off. He tried to call his shot. He tried to get his piece of Calvin Tankman to get his revenge on him being interrupted, and it doesn't work out in his favor. So it keeps that, like you said, it keeps that story going. Yep. Even though that's not the story we wanted to tell going into the show, we've got this great story we can tell, and we can continue to tell it depending on how things go with Khan. I also like how Khan not being here also was a huge piece of the show. And we'll talk about that more when we get to a couple of segments later on. But I love how even with him not being there, you can still make sure to utilize Khan in the Diaspora Championship as a pivotal piece of the storytelling of this 2-year show.
Absolutely.
We then move on to the number one contenders for the Tag Team Championships in our next triple threat, where we have the debuting top shooters, which is Maurice Moss and Trey Derula.
Derula.
Yeah. Just like Obafemi, Derula.
Yeah.
With Andrew Diggs taking on the Audacity, which was only Treehouse Lee, unfortunately, here, as his brother was unable to make the show.
Another last minute thing flight situation, basically. He was stuck in Ohio.
That's never fun. And of course, if you're going to get stuck anywhere, the last place you want to get stuck is Ohio. Let's just
he said it. He said it.
It's fine. I'll say it. I'm from New England. I don't care. I'll say it. And then, of course, we have the Uglee gang with Reyhan, Inteus, and Vega.
Yeah, Reyhan and Inteus.
Okay, and Inteus. I appreciate that. And Jordan Holt and Chase Coleman, Caprice Coleman's young man. I was going to say little boy, but he ain't a little boy. He's a young man at this point.
His son, yeah.
It's so weird seeing Caprice Coleman's son in wrestling and going, man, I remember a young Caprice Coleman wrestling. And now I'm watching a younger Caprice Coleman.
It's been amazing to watch him grow up. Like, I remember when he was like 8, 7, like running around, wanting to play with people and asking, showing them people his toys and stuff. And now, like, he's the coolest person ever. He can rap, he can dance, he can wrestle. It's just crazy seeing that. And he's definitely got a bright future ahead of him.
Yeah, and it's definitely an interesting match because we've got a triple threat tag team match.
Yeah.
But Treehouse Lee is by himself. He's a man on his own island. Yeah. And I love how you guys and especially Treehouse Lee help build this match around the fact that he's by himself and how he uses his brains and his intellect to be able to use that to his advantage as opposed to his disadvantage, to bring himself in this match when it suited him and try not to be the odd man out, being the fact that he didn't have a tag team partner. I thought that was an incredibly smart and interesting way to do this because most wrestling promotions go, okay, Saieve can't be here. Cool. Here's random guy from the back who's going to join you for the night. We'll make it work and we'll figure it out later. Treehouse Lee comes out by himself. He's like, look, he's not here. It's fine. I'm going to do it.
Yeah. That's part of the genius of Darius. That was one of the things we were discussing. We were discussing pretty much all possibilities. The ones that I think we were leaning on more is having him do it by himself or just, having them drop out completely. And it just being, top shooters versus Uglee gang. And then, it's just like one of those things where it's like, well, this is one way we can still use Treehouse and get his character over a little bit anyway, because the Audacity, they're real life brothers, but they are two completely different guys. They think the same way. Like you get them together and you're like, okay, you can see why they're brothers, but like completely different dudes, right? And they're two completely different wrestlers stylistically as well. So I think that, you could have a situation where Treehouse is the one that everybody is kind of sympathetic towards, and while they hate Saieve. And so like, why not have this potentially babyface moment for Treehouse and showing like, okay, I'll take on this challenge. I'll still try to do this and honor my brother while also, showing that what I can do by myself. So I think it went off as best as it could. I mean, it was perfect for that particular situation. And he did a good job. I think everyone in this match did a great job. I mean, there's some young folks in this match, with the top shooters, and then, Jordan Holt, Vega, younger guys, of course, Chase Coleman as well. And so I think this match went off really well. This was also a great follow-up, I think, to the prior match.
Ashley, what do you think about the match itself going into this match?
I love more than anything two aspects of this. First, Lee having his moments and just kind of picking his moments and where he could go in so he can take advantage, knowing that he is by himself and he doesn't have anybody to tag him when he gets exhausted. So just like picking those moments of like, wait, they're out right now, so let me go and take advantage at this point because there's only one of them in the ring or one of them is out. So I like that moment that he's able to like think of where he can insert himself in rather than just going in and try to fight it, even though he's by himself. Here though, Zay Vega is definitely my highlight of this match, because there was a one point that he pushed Maurice and he super kicked Trey like right after that, and then he did a cutter to Maurice right after that in such a sequence that was so smoothly done and so quick. I was like, I don't know how he did it, but I saw it. I took my notes and I went back to watch it again because it looked so incredible, like to watch it. I was like, I love how smooth and quick he was with that. And I love how that, that quickness that he has to him. And that was my favorite thing while watching him wrestle. But I love each one of the teams. So everybody's individuals, but they all collectively work so well together. The chemistry they have was just really up the charts. But again, I was like, I think Zay was definitely my MVP, especially in that part of the match. It just blew me off. I had to watch it a few times. What I saw, I was like, he just did that so smoothly and so quick too, without missing a beat. And I love when you can communicate with people in that sort of way and be able to pull off something like that. It's not easy to do.
Yeah, I think Zay Vega is somebody. He's really good, and I think there's a lot of people on this show. If they had some exposure outside of North Carolina, I think could go, pretty far. I think Top Shooters is they're going to be one of those teams. Another one of two group of guys that LeBron Kozone trained. Like he's just like training all these great wrestlers, and he's an amazing wrestler himself. They're really good together as well. So I'm glad those guys finally got an opportunity to get on the show with us, and they use that as a part of their storytelling as well.
I was going to say, I love that part of the storytelling of this match is you had so many interesting stories interweaved into this. The Top Shooters being instantly healed by being like, look, y'all been here for 2 years, but you ain't never booked us. Like, How dare you not book us? We're great. Why are we taking 2 years to get here? And then I love that you still have the Audacity storyline with the Uglee gang. And I'm loving the Uglee gang more and more every time I see them. It's like there's just something about them that you instantly click to them. And it's so great. And then of course you have the storytelling with Chase Coleman getting involved and it not working out. And you have this rift now forming between the Uglee gang where you have some of the guys being like, it's all right, Chase, we'll figure this out. We'll get it going. And one of them's not so sure about that. One of them seems like he's done with Chase already. So it's
I was just gonna say, Reyhan is having some issues right now.
Yeah, Reyhan is not a happy camper right now when it comes to Chase Coleman. So there's just a lot of interesting stories here. But again, the Top Shooters come in and they get what they want. They get the respect that they deserve. They get the respect that they think that they've earned. They get the #1 contenderships, and in the future, we're going to get Top Shooters versus the tag team champions.
Yeah, TME, the main event out of Pittsburgh. That one should be in our February show. And just really quick, shout outs to Top Shooters because a part of their promo, like I love it when like real life kind of blends with work. Andrew Diggs, I've known him since 2019. He also works in the news industry. He was coming in as a producer at the station that I was leaving. He was coming in pretty much as I was leaving to go to WRL in Raleigh. And we kind of kept in contact with each other throughout. And then, of course, wrestling brought us closer together. But he's been helping us with production and stuff backstage pretty much most of this year and parts of last year. Maurice Moss sometimes is the cameraman for us. So he's one of those roaming cameras sometimes. And now they're finally on the show. So it's kind of cool to see those guys, literally work their way up to get on the show from working behind the scenes to being in front of the audience. Really cool.
And again, this is something I heard at one of the Dreamwave shows. One of the talents talked about it. I think it was Amina Belmont that night, talking about when you're not on the show, show up to the shows if you're in the industry, because you never know if you're putting together the ring one week, you might be filling in for somebody who had an unfortunate incident, like a Bishop Khan situation where he gets called to AEW, or Saieve not being able to get a plane out of Ohio. And all of a sudden, next opportunity, that might be you. And if you can impress the right people and do the right things, you could be the #1 contenders for the tag team championships.
Absolutely.
we are going to get to that Billy Dixon promo because mwah, I had never heard of Billy Dixon before this show. I didn't know him. I think I might have heard the name, but I never really knew much about it. I feel like after having listened to this promo, I'm like, all right, I need to watch everything Billy Dixon's ever done. Because he goes in incredibly hard about how he was on his retirement tour. He's pretty much done. He's doing the whole John Cena, the last time is now thing. And he doesn't have time to be able to take on Darius Carter again for that championship. He ain't got that kind of time anymore. His time is almost up. But he is going to make sure that he honors his grandfather, whose name he took to become his wrestling name. And he goes deep into his family story about his grandfather and having, the inability to read for most of his life and how hard he worked to get to that point, to continue the family. And it's one of those promos that it's like, oh, I wish I would have heard this promo 5 years ago when this guy was, still going every weekend or things like that, because Billy Dixon might have become one of the bigger baby faces in the promotion off the back of this promo. Yeah. It is sensational. And if you haven't seen it, go to the ASÉ Wrestling Twitter. It is on there. We got the Twitter right here below me. You can go on there, check out that promo. It's on there in its entirety. It is fantastic.
Billy Dixon is, I met him through Darius, but during the time I wasn't really in wrestling, I hadn't had a chance to meet him, and always heard great things. And, the times I've been around him, what an amazing guy. One of those guys that's kind of that has been looked over in his career, because what is he and how do you present him, right? He's an overweight black guy who's gay. You know what I'm saying? What do you do with that? And we're able to kind of use him in a way to where it's like, you can be an individual. You can just kind of show what fires you up. You can be that big rah-rah baby face, and people can just sit back and accept who you are. It doesn't have to be this silly part of your character. It's just, it happens to be who you are. And we relate to you with your grandfather's story. It gives us chills, and man, we want to see you win, and we want to see you succeed. So I'm glad he got that off. Swole and I were like looking at each other the entire time, like, this man is doing it, right now. And I even just kind of did the whole rock thing, like, showing I had goosebumps while he was doing all that, because man, it was such a great promo. I knew he was going to have that promo time. I didn't know what was going to come out, and so we're getting floored, in real time watching this. And I think I like taken off my headphones and said to the production people in the back, because the curtain for the people who are running and everything is like literally right behind us. So I was like, this is the best promo in ASÉ history. And just went back and put my headphones on and just sat back and enjoyed it. What a guy. I wish he wasn't, wasn't retiring in June. I wish there was more time for him, but he's got to do what his body tells him to do. And what a performer, man. And he's from your neck of the woods, from New York, done a lot of stuff up there in the north. He's been mostly north, mid-Atlantic, DC area, his career. His feud with Darius Carter goes back, a few years. I think it started in New Jersey. What a performer. I think that he's somebody that definitely deserves his flowers as well.
To me, this promo, and I'm going to kick this to Asher right afterwards, but it was something I had written down. This promo reminded me of the Eddie Guerrero promo before the Brock Lesnar match. Like, this is that promo that brings you to that next level. You don't need it. Everybody knows you. Everybody loves you. But it's that promo of peeling back every piece of, anything that you hide to become a character. And he peels it all back and he just brings it back to the raw person underneath it all. And it gave me that same feeling that I had listening to Eddie Guerrero tell Brock Lesnar, I'm an addict. I'm addicted to this wrestling business. I'm addicted to what happens within these ropes and the feeling I get from these fans. And it's like, I got that same feeling. It was an entirely different type of promo, but I got that feeling from Billy Dixon. It may be the best promo in Ashe. It may be the best promo in all of independent wrestling this year. It's that damn
honestly, like it's like I said earlier, it's gonna rival almost anything you've seen on television too, you know.
Yeah.
And we called it. I'm glad you said Eddie Guerrero. That's a good pullback. We kind of jokingly said that was his hard times promo, you know, and like that's the one when, you know, later down the line when there's a ASÉ Wrestling school and all that, you know, good stuff, you know, promo class, we're gonna pull that one up. that's the bar right there, you know. And you know, he's what a promo, what a guy. Like it's just one of those things. And what I liked about it as well that you guys didn't see is that so many guys in the back were just like, okay, we got to step it up. And they took it as a challenge. They saw it like Suge D, Darius, Reyhan, Yahya, like all those guys, even the ladies, you know, Charity, all those, like everybody, they were like, okay, all right, we gotta do a better job because the
game's been upped.
Yes.
Ashton, what you got before we go ahead and talk to Conrad and Auntie?
No, what I love about promos like this is that the authenticity of it, because it's so real and so raw that it helps you connect even more with that character when you later see them down the line. And this is what I like about having promos like this, the fact that we can make that connection. And I love when I can connect to those people because I enjoy their work even more than I will usually do. Because you think about those moments and those stories, like later on, I can imagine you mentioning that in commentary on his next match. It's like, oh, he said this in his promo last time he was in ASÉ. And it's like having little details like that is what I love to hear later during commentary, because it just connects me back. I was like, oh, I remember that you know what, that story that he said. I remember what this particular comment that he mentioned. And those little things are the ones that help you like remember and connect back to that person so well. And that's what I love the most about like the storytelling in wrestling. It's like when it becomes so real that you're like, I connect with this person in such a way, like I see myself in them too, because I went through something similar, for example. And that's what I love about that part of representation later in the end as well too, because you think it was like, maybe you find somebody that listens to that and said, I had a similar story to what he had, and they can connect to him even more than they usually would have, aside from his wrestling. And when you can add that to that character aspect, it just adds so much more. And I just love seeing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we're going to move on to the Hold for Hold Challenge Part 2. The rematch. Suge D got his rematch that he requested to take on Darian Bengston again. Darian Bengston, for those that don't know, just won the Action Pro Wrestling World title over there. So congratulations to Darian there. Well deserved. I'm sure we'll be talking more about Action in the months to come, as they are now promotion number 3 to join up with West Coast Pro Wrestling, along with St. Louis Anarchy and New Texas Pro, I believe it is, that's joined up with them. So those 4 promotions are going to be definitely sharing some talent, and it's going to be a show to behold over there on all 4 of them. But we've got the no punches, no kicks, no elbows, just hold for hold challenge. And we got Miss Yolanda in the ring, which as soon as I saw Yolanda here, I go, oh, I'm tuned in, because she's going to be touching up on somebody. Miss Yolanda. Oh, we love Miss Yolanda here. How can you not love Miss Yolanda?
I know. She's the greatest. She's the greatest.
So we have Suge D taking on Darian Bengston. Midway through this match, Darian gets out of a Suge D hold and starts commenting about Suge D's ashy elbows. But we don't got to worry about it, because Miss Yolanda's got some moisturizer. It might be cocoa butter. I don't know. I don't want to assume. But we know she's got something, and she's rubbing down more than just Suge D's elbow. But
you got to make sure the whole arm is moisturized.
Yeah, I mean, Darian was only complaining about the elbow, but let's make sure Miss Yolanda gets all of it. Just like when she was checking for weapons on Bishop Khan at ASÉ 10, she made sure that she thoroughly moisturized Mr.
She got the extra screening.
Yeah, she checked every ab.
You got it, bitch. Bishop Khan's got plenty of abs. You need to make sure you check each and every one of them. I will also say Suge D did not look like he wasn't enjoying himself as he was getting moisturized mid-match. Bengston is on the floor, rolling on the floor laughing. Like legit ROFL, just rolling on the floor laughing, having an absolute ball with this. But I love this. These two are two of the best talents that I've been exposed to since we switched from covering NXT to covering this. I just got a real lot of insight with Suge from an interview he did with Tiffany on Under the Ropes. Queen of the Indies did an incredible interview with him where he talked about his issues with Darian Bengston, where he talked about his issue with Pretty Boy Smooth, who's somebody I hope that you guys can get down there too, because I want to see more of him.
He's been on one show, and he will be back. He will be back.
But this was such a deviation from everything that we've seen so far. And it's great because pro wrestling needs variety. And to have this hold for hold style match just makes for such an interesting card and an interesting match. I didn't take a lot of notes. I just sat back and enjoyed everything that's going on because Suge D is bigger than Darian. But Darian can do everything and anything, and he's not the one-trick pony that I think people would think about when they see him. He just wrestled up here in New England, TNA Bound for Glory weekend. He was part of the on-the-floor tournament where, it was a more grapple-based style. But every time we watch him in action, it's high-flying, it's everything goes. It's just so nice to see the differences from everybody.
Yeah, those are two guys that I love to see, and yeah, that's one of those things like we want to also put on display. Again, going back to those tropes that we talked about before, some of those boxes people have put into. When you think about great technicians of pro wrestling, a lot of times black wrestlers aren't brought up. Norman Smiley isn't brought up. What's her name? I can't remember I'm losing it right now, but the black wrestler, the female black wrestler from the 1950s. She was amazing with it. And so it's one of those things we wanted to put that on display. So we, have Darian Bengston's hold for hold challenges. That was part 2 of it. And those guys are two guys that are great at doing it. Darius Lockhart also great at doing a lot of the mat-based pro wrestling style. And I think that it's been interesting that each time it's been something outside of his actual, I guess, skill set that has cost Suge D a match. We had a lower ceiling when we were at Slingshot, hits his head on a speaker, and Khan is able to get a win. Goes against Darian Bengston. His shoe was untied. He normally wore boots. He decided to do the lotion. The lotion did happen. He decided to wear wrestling shoes that messed with him. This time he was ashy and he couldn't get his head wrapped around the fact that he wasn't moisturized the right way. And he ends up losing again. And I was telling Darius, like, when he asked me after the show, we always try to do a little debrief. And I was just like, he's like, what stood out about the show? And it's like immediately the lotion spot, because everybody's going to forget the moves and what was said and all that. They're going to remember that they saw a guy, stop in the middle of the match, say he's ashy. The referee take out some lotion, rub some lotion on him, and the crowd chanting, he is ashy. Like that's just unique, right? That's a unique experience that doesn't happen often. And moments like that, I think, is what fans like, and it's what builds memories. And out of anything that comes out of that match, they may even forget that Suge lost that match. They're gonna remember that he was ashy, and that could be something that he could use for character building in the future.
Astrid, your thoughts?
Yeah, I love that part too. Is like as Miss Yolanda, just like I feel like she steals the show, but in a good way. That's definitely a compliment to her. So I definitely love having her around, and she's so fun. But yeah, the moment of her coming out with the lotion, I was not expecting, and I just had to laugh quietly because I was working while I was watching this. But it's something like you said, something memorable that really stands out during this whole match. I did like also the knuckle lock that's from Suji that he did at one point, and that was really nice. And the surfboard kind of submission that Darian did at one point as well. But again, it's like those like things like those are the moments that really stand out to you when you think about later. It's like, and the chants from the crowd, when you get the crowd's attention and they're able to create their own chant from what's going on, that's when you like you have their attention, and that's a good thing to have. You have a reaction from them, which is always like, as a wrestler, you're always looking for those reactions, whether they're cheering or booing or even chanting at you. That's what you're looking for. So it's like the moment that you get the chant from the crowd, and it's a creative chant because I never heard it before, at least,
Yeah.
and to get that kind of chant happening, it just shows you how much the fans are connecting to this. They're paying attention to what you're doing to the point that they created a channel of like in a couple seconds right away about the situation that they just saw a few seconds before. But again, this was not only interesting, but it's also such a fun match at the same time. And I love the storytelling, how you can mix those up in one match at the same time here. And that just, I feel like that's one of the favorite things I had about this match, like as a whole.
Ethel Johnson was the wrestler I was
Yeah.
thinking about.
Yeah, that's the one I was looking for.
And I love how Suge has one of the best stories going right now, I believe, in ASÉ. And we'll get into it more as we get into the Isaiah Broner stuff and into his match and into Joseline, right?
Joseline Navarro.
Joseline. Okay. Mm-hmm. I was trying to pronounce it because I always look at it and I just can never get it right. But the Suge D, the storyline throughout this, and again, it all works. One, because he's losing. Two, because Khan's not here. Mm-hmm. None of what is going to continue with Suge D works if Khan actually shows up for work. But because Khan's not here, and again, he did show up for work. Like I'm taking Suge's point of view as, you know, yeah. Khan's not here, Khan's not doing business, Khan's over, you know, being in AEW. And I love how that plays into everything that Suge does going forward to try to get back his baby.
Yep.
You know, it's so great.
Yeah, it's a good story arc, especially for somebody who had that title for 650 days. And, you know, he's been on the indies for a long time, you know, doing his thing. So it's a good way to kind of show a different part of his character, and he can do some different things. And, you know, he's not getting dominated in these matches. It's just little small things that ends up happening. He's just hitting a streak of bad luck. So how does that mess with somebody? How does that change somebody? We'll see in the coming shows.
Yeah. And of course we do want to, you know, shout out member of our local establishment team, Quaranti here, saying that she is I'm assuming that's a Billy Dixon fan as opposed to Bully Dixon. Nobody here is going to bully Billy Dixon. And of course, we were showing up all of Conrad's comments. Conrad covers AEW on a weekly basis. Nice. You want to go ahead and get the post shows for all that, make sure you go ahead and check out EPW show. I know they got their nominees for the award shows for AEW coming up after tomorrow night's post show over there. So go ahead and check out his thing at EPW show. He also does his weekly show with Hubbard Wrestling over every Monday night. We're going to move on to our first ladies action of the night as we have Savannah Evans taking on Alexis Littlefoot. Asher, obviously I'm going to go straight to you on this one. What did you think about this match?
I think it's fun that this is the type of match that Alexis comes in as very confident in herself, talking to Savannah, but only from a distance though. She doesn't want to be too near her. She runs away pretty quickly any chance she gets. But I think it's just funny the way she's very confident, but just from far away is like, you owe me somebody. We're gonna deal with this eventually, but from over there, you stay over there in your corner. But it's just fun to not only see them like, and it was mentioned during commentaries, which I thought was pretty funny. That was like, oh, this is like a strategy for her. Let's just tire her out to begin with by having her run around the ring before they actually go inside and then make the match official, because the bell hadn't rung yet by the time this happened. I did like the promo from Alexis. I feel like she was very confident as she was talking, and that's one of the things you love to see when somebody's doing a promo. But I think it's just funny the way that she thought she had the advantage by kind of tiring out Savannah, but that still didn't work out for her in the end because Alexis barely got anything in there, poor thing. But I love the fact that even within this match, they're like almost like even in like how tall they are, they height because Alexis is not that much shorter from Savannah, but still the way that Savannah shows off her power, I think this is very important in this match, and I love seeing her show off the way she is. I enjoyed her in TNA, and I wish I would have done a little bit more with her. I was disappointed when they just like kind of like quietly just stopped showing her, and then all of a sudden she was gone. But I feel like they could have done more with her because I think you could do kind of like what they're doing with Raquel Rodriguez now on screen, kind of like have her grow and learn how to basically work as a tall and like big person and take that to her advantage, and they didn't use her that way. And I feel like they could have done better with her in that aspect of it. And I like seeing like this show up here because you can see how much of her power she is. Even though Alexis is not that much shorter than she is, and she's able to overtake her, and Alexis can barely get anything in. It's like, and I think Alexis really learned her lesson not to really mess up with Savannah in the end.
Yeah, the selling. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say the selling from Alexis is what I really enjoyed here. Because with younger wrestlers, with wrestlers who seemingly have less time in the ring, and I believe that that's what Alexis is probably is. She's probably a little bit newer, a little bit younger to the business.
Yeah, I think she's like 5 years in, something like that.
Yeah. I love seeing great selling from her and the dangerousness of, like, it's going to sound silly here. The most dangerous spot in this entire match is literally Savannah chasing Alexis around the ring. Because those pads on the outside are not tied down in any way, shape, or form. No. All they do is move. And to see both of them running on those pads, my God, all I was just like, please nobody fall. Please nobody fall. Please nobody fall. Because that's the most dangerous thing we saw in this match. And Savannah did a pop-up powerbomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And but this was great. I'm in with Alexis Littlefoot. I love the little bit of a heelish gimmick that she's got going on. I love how we're able to showcase Savannah's personality a bit here, because the one thing I really never really saw in her in TNA is a bit of a personality. Mm-hmm. She was Tasha Steele's big, tall friend, and that was about the extent of it. Mm-hmm. So to be able to see more with Savannah, having seen the Fatal 4-Way at ASÉ 10 that we covered, really getting in depth with that, I'm looking forward to so much of seeing more Savannah Evans because she is so talented. She is so great. And hopefully this will lead to bigger and better things. A match with Charity in the near future, hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah, I love Savannah. She's another Charlotte person. Somebody I remember when she started training when I was wrestling, and she's just an amazing person. And you're right, like she hasn't really been given a chance to show her personality. I think sometimes in ways, if you look at it, there are sometimes, unless you are, Charlotte Flair or maybe somebody else with some other, I guess, some other pedigree, right? If you notice, and I don't know if you've noticed this, Astrid, a lot of times if you're just a taller woman, you kind of get that like Kane or like big man treatment where they don't necessarily give you a personality. You're just kind of booked for your size and that's it. The people who are smaller get a chance to have the women who are smaller typically get to show the personality. That's the unfortunate part when we say that, like, a lot of times, you might present something a little bit differently, but a lot of times, a lot of the companies kind of fall in the same tropes with certain types of people. And I feel like that's one of the disservices that happens with women. There's a body type, there's a height, there's a personality type that gets pushed a little bit more. And that's one of the things that we want to do with Savannah is show, what's there. One, she's our friend, but two, she's very talented. And I think that we can end up doing that. Alexis, I love Alexis. I love her story. Alexis, I first met her at our third show ever. It was April after WrestleMania weekend in 2024. She just came up and introduced herself to me. I hadn't met her before, and she didn't have a booking that weekend. She drove from Lexington, Kentucky to Charlotte just to see if she could help out because she wanted to be a part of ASÉ. So she was the bell ringer. that night. And pretty much, unless she was booked elsewhere, she's pretty much been at every show since then. And Darius kind of slow rolled her in there. We saw her do some interviews a few shows back. She's the big flexer, so she's gonna throw all her money around. She, put $5,000 on Savannah Evans. Savannah Evans didn't win the inaugural women's championship, so she's mad. She wants her money back. And then the real life story. It was her first time wrestling in Charlotte. Even though she's from Lexington, Kentucky, her dad's family, her dad is from the Charlotte area, Salisbury, close to Charlotte. And for her, it meant something because her dad was her world. He was her everything. And it wasn't until he died a few years ago, she was like, we always loved wrestling. I'm going to be a wrestler for him. And that was her first time being able to wrestle close to her dad's original home with family members from that area, being able to see her in person. So like, the personal side is cool, but then also just the professional, who she is. She's starting to really make a name for herself. She's a part of Fourth Rope Wrestling. So she's doing her thing with them. Heard a good weekend at WrestleCade. I didn't get a chance to make it out to WrestleCade. So excited to see kind of both of these competitors and their trajectories going forward.
Yeah, and it was a great match. Savannah does get the win, so hopefully that positions her in the right light for the ASÉ Women's Championship match in the near future. We got Darius Lockhart, the owner, the promoter, the man who runs the plan, taking on Jah-C one more time because Jah-C got the better of him last time out. And I like this match. Now, I didn't write it down in which match it took place. Is this where we renamed the European uppercut between you and Swole?
I think so. I think this is where it came up. Yeah, the African uppercut.
The African uppercut, because we're not European, so maybe we should do this the African uppercut. Also, I have a pitch then. If we're rechanging where the uppercut comes from in ASÉ, can we also make baby faces, like pure baby faces in ASÉ, dark meat baby faces instead of white meat baby faces? Just as an idea?
We'll have to workshop that. We'll have to workshop that a little bit.
I'm like, I think the joke will come across right if I just say this. I don't think it's that bad. And after just looks at me and she's like, I can't believe you said that. But no, Chris, talk to us about Darius Lockhart and how giving he is in the ring, because a lot of times the guys who run the promotion, who make the decisions, a lot of times they're the guys who are at the top of the promotion. But that's not Darius Lockhart's, seemingly it's not what Darius Lockhart's all about. Like, he was in the tournament to crown the first champion, but he didn't win. He's here working with Jah-C in the middle of the card, which again, as anybody who's watched enough professional wrestling to know, top and bottom of the card are those are the big matches you want to be in, and then everything else is kind of this is where you got to show off kind of territory. So seeing the guy who runs the place being in the middle of the card is a bit different.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of Cody Rhodes AEW to him when it comes to the way that he tries to book himself. I think that, like, if he did book himself to be the top guy through the moon, I don't think anybody would blame him, because he deserves it. And I think he's one of those guys that probably should have gotten that from other companies a long time ago. But I like this feud. This is like a cool feud, I think, to get people to see Jah-C, get him in front of people. He's somebody I think is also underutilized in pro wrestling as a whole. And of course, Jah-C beat Darius at his own promotion, a couple months back. So it was cool seeing that. It was cool seeing Darius. He always seems to turn up a little bit at Piedmont. That's the middle school he went to, and used those steps and went flying in the air. I didn't expect that to happen during the match. So it was cool just seeing him just kind of, do that, rise to the occasion, but then also just setting the example for folks in the back. Like, I don't think we have any divas or prima donnas or anything like that in the back, but if the boss is able to go out there and do the job for somebody to make somebody look good for the betterment of the show, like, how can I argue about something? If this is for the betterment of the show, it's just for the betterment of the show. And he's just showing, sometimes you you got to play your role, and he's playing the role really well. And I think that we're also going to see him rise to some prominence here at a certain point coming up in ASÉ.
Ashford, what did you think about Darius Lockhart defeating and getting his win back over frontman Jah-C tonight?
I like how he's able to, even though he's winning, he's able to show off Jah-C, like able to highlight him. And I like when like the veterans are able to do something like this during this match, because at the beginning especially made me laugh a little bit here. I mean, not at Darius' expense, unfortunately, but when Jah-C just takes the referee and starts distracting him, but he's actually kneeing Darius and choking him, and the referee's not even noticing at first. It's like I love how it take a moment for the crowd to notice what's happening, and they kind of look at it like, wait, is he really like choking him? And I like how you point that out during commentary, and it just made me like, it was like I didn't think he would do something like that, and I feel like something that was different to begin with, because I like how you have the referee's attention here, but not here. He's not looking at what's happening in the knee. So I thought that was super interesting. And another part that I really enjoyed too was when Darius broke the pin and he changed it up to a Fujiwara armbar. Like the way that transition over, that was so beautifully done. I was like, I definitely had to see that again. I had to rewind it right at that moment there too. But those were two of the moments that really like stood out to me during this match. But again, overall, I just love the fact that they was able to show up Jah-C and still come up with the win at the end. It's like I love when you can have moments like that. That everything's really well balanced.
Yeah, I keep going back to, and Ashford hates it when I say it. One guy goes over, one guy gets over, and it's one of those bully. She doesn't like Bully Ray, so she doesn't like when I bring up his phrases here. But at the last time these two went at it, Darius made sure to both give Jah-C the win and get Jah-C over. In this one, he gets his win back, but I still feel like Jah-C comes out of this looking better than when he went in.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still thinking that Jah-C for me is one of the ones to watch.
Yes.
Because I still think he's really talented. And I think he was on our list of ones to watch on the last time we talked about ASÉ, is how impressed we were with Jah-C taking on Darius. And I'm looking forward to seeing Jah-C with somebody else. Not that I don't want to watch him wrestle Darius again, because I will, but I want to watch something else. I want to watch him with somebody else, see something more from him. But I'm very excited for what's to come with Jah-C.
Absolutely. Same here. Great competitor, great guy. Great future ahead of him. I think he's somebody that for sure to watch, not only in pro wrestling, but in ASÉ. So, both guys, I think, are going to have some pretty cool stories to tell coming up soon.
We then move on to what I believe would have been the spot for the Pan-African World Diaspora Championship match between Bishop Khan and Calvin Tankman. But without Bishop Khan here, Moses comes out with his friends. I don't know if the masked men have a name, if the group has a, like, if the masks have a symbology of a name, like of a group that I just aren't picking up, because again, the culture.
They don't have a name yet. I'm sure
Okay.
that we'll get some answers coming from Khan at a certain point. But the design of the masks and all that come from I think Khan's father is from Cameroon, so a lot of it is Cameroonian culture. So we try to use that and weave that into a lot of the way he's presented.
Yeah, and he's cutting a promo, but out comes the problem. Isaiah Broner, and one of my favorites, and he's my one to watch on this show, because I was highly impressed with him last time we saw him work, and here too, working with Moses. It's not a long match. It's a bit of time killing. It's a bit of storytelling. This is a match that isn't a match for a match's sake. It's a match in terms of telling the continuation of the story with Suge D. Suge D comes out for the save when all the guys attack Isaiah. He wants to get a piece of Bishop Khan. He knows that to get through Bishop, he's got to go through Moses. He's trying to get Isaiah on board with this, and Isaiah, still being the problem that he is like, no, we're not doing this. Me and you, we don't get along. We're not doing this. I'm not part of this. And he leaves. But I like the idea that we're setting it up here. We'll get more to it later on. It's storytelling from television wrestling that we're doing on independent wrestling. We talked about this when we talked about, I forget what promotion was that we just talked about, where we talked about how television wrestling is so critical in their storytelling. I know we do it when we talk about chaotic wrestling over on Ring Respect Radio. It could have been Wrestling Open with the vignettes of every match and having the continuations of stories and things like that. I love when promoters treat independent wrestling promotions as if it's a television show.
Yes.
Because that formula is so ingrained in us that it makes independent wrestling feel better. Even if you can't tell that story week in and week in or show into show, even if it takes 2 or 3 shows to be able to get each of the talent in because one guy might not be available on the show, to be able to have that storyline being told in a way. And to do that, you have to have commentary. And that's where you and Swole always come through, is where you guys are constantly being like, this is what's going on. This is why, Suge is out here. And having Swole kind of back and forth on Suge D throughout this show, depending on who he's out there with, which is something I really loved about Swole, is her alliances change depending on who's in the ring. And I think that's really intriguing with her, and especially with Suge. So I'm very excited for where this continues to go, because this is something I've been itching to see more of since I watched the show.
Yeah, and I think also just, I think the theme throughout the night, because we're going to see Suge again, like, he started getting on people's nerves. It's like, bro, what do you like? We know you're former champion. Like, go. We know you want Khan, but I love what's being pushed around this. I remember listening to you guys last time, and so I want to explain what the Pan-African World Diaspora Championship is. That championship doesn't belong to ASÉ. It actually belongs to Fight Club Wrestling out of DC. But the idea behind it was to have the champion of the African diaspora. So it's the traveling champion from kind of like throughout. If you're black, if you're a wrestler, you could be in England, you could be in Africa, you could be in the United States of America, you could be in Australia. You can use this, and this is your traveling belt. Trish Adora was the first champion. Then Suge D. Trish had it for over 1,300 days. So I guess 6 years or something like that. Suge D defeated her. He had it for almost 2 years, and now Bishop Khan's the third ever champion for this. So it's basically the same level as the ASÉ title, but ASÉ men's title is ours. Men's and women's titles are ours. Versus the Pan-African World Diaspora Championship is something else that we, show on the same level as ours. And it's also intergender, as you saw, like Trish Adora is a former champion. So, so I think it's a cool thing to do. I think ASÉ has probably done the best job at presenting that championship, which is no slight to anybody out there with it. But I think we've had more like story time and, things with it and stuff like that. For a lot of folks, like Isaiah Broner, his involvement coming here, and also Joseline, they've gone against Trish and Suge D at other promotions, whether it's in Ohio or Michigan or whatever, with that title on the line. So those are natural stories you can start to, to bring back. And let's expand these outside of a match. What can we use to tell those stories with it? And so we're glad that we're getting a chance to do that. And that's also what's bringing Calvin Tankman into ASÉ as well. So I think that's a cool storytelling piece because it's not just our title. It belongs to everybody, in that sense. And so we're using it to also tell some more stories. It's kind of a different concept.
No, yeah, it's great. And like I said, we were enamored with Bishop Khan's celebration of sorts, and it was just it was sensational to see that, because again, it's about the representation. It's about showing off the Cameroonian heritage and getting. That's the Bishop Khan that I wish we'd seen more. That's the Bishop Khan that I wish television people who have a wrestling show with him on it would promote. Not make him just another guy in a group with another really talented wrestler who got a championship because, name. Not railing on any one company in any particular reason, am I?
Who? I wonder who.
I love Ricochet. I think Ricochet is great.
He is great.
I just think he is the third most interesting person in that group. and he's always the third most interesting person in any group that I ever see him in. He is one of the most talented wrestlers in the world. I will die on that hill.
Might see him at ASÉ in the future.
I'd love it. I will never say a bad word about his in-ring wrestling talent. You can't. You just can't. He is that damn good. But Khan is such a multifaceted figure. And when you have the presentation that you have for the Acclaimed, and you've spent as much time as you have on the Acclaimed, and you should, because Max Caster's Max Caster, but those guys are talented and they deserve to have that story told. And I just wish Gates of Agony would get more.
Yeah.
Because I think, having seen the little bit I've seen of Khan here, I think if you brought half of what ASÉ gives Khan would be in any championship picture on any portion of that show, and nobody would bat an eye. But he's not given that. It doesn't seem like, to me, he's given that opportunity to really let the Bishop Khan fly and do the things that he wants to do.
How do you effectively book the big, strong guys outside of them being big and strong and from another place, right? Like it's in general, that's a problem in pro wrestling in general, right? Mm-hmm. And this is, again, I think ASÉ can show you what's possible, not even just for Black people, just for different people, different body types and all that. Like, sometimes the big, strong guy gets the short end of the stick. Like, Wardlow should be looked at a lot higher than what he is right now, right? Some balls were dropped along the way with those situations. And so, Khan is the big, strong guy. Toa Leona, he's amazing as well. He's the big, strong guy. How do you bring more out of that? And sometimes just using what's real is what's best. Khan's dad is really from Cameroon. I'm trying to think of, I have it written down in my notes, but there's a Wasua. His father was used to be proficient in what's called Wasua, which was a wrestling style in Cameroon, and he wants to use that and continue the legacy through professional wrestling. Now he was always going to have his kingdom. Now he's got the title to show this, and he's starting to build his kingdom. He's got his brother Moses with him. He's got maybe TME. I don't know. We kind of, we'll see what happens. He sent a letter to them, and they did some work for him, and so we still got to get that question answered. And he's been having some henchmen have his back at the last few shows, even when he's not there. So it's just those small details just comes from talking to people, really, and learning what's really a part of their lives. I think, Darius wanting to be a storytelling type of promoter, me being a natural journalist, I want to really know about the people who we have there. You can get these real life stories and bring it in, and that way, like, because again, it shouldn't all be on the wrestler, right? There's a lot that the wrestler has going on already in the match. Somebody else can also tell their story if they're not going to have the opportunity to have mic time. So everybody is involved in getting people over. So I love the fact that we've been able to help do that with Khan.
We move on to the ASÉ Women's Championship match as Joseline Navarro takes on the champion, the inaugural champion, Charity King. And I believe this is her first defense of the title, correct?
She had another defense. She took on Aaliyah James at our last show in October.
Close to midnight. Close to midnight show. Okay. Every time I look at Charity King, and especially in this, when she fired up and she started doing her comeback in this match, I stopped for a split second. I stopped seeing Charity King and just saw Jazz. I just
She would love
saw
it.
Jazz. Like
You gotta clip
it
that
was
and send that to her.
the whole way she did it. It felt like that Jazz character in that late WWE when I was getting to see Jazz, and it was just so good, and it's so reminiscent. And again, it's not about looks; it's just about the way that she fired up. Everything that she did in that, it gave me that feeling of one of the best women's wrestlers to ever do it. Jazz is on that list of, the best of the best to do it. And to be able to see Charity doing that, and to be new to Charity, having not heard of her before we covered ASÉ last time, to being able to really, watch that match and be a big fan of her, and to watch this match and to cheer for her because I liked what I saw the last time and I want to see more. And now to continue searching out more Charity King matches as we keep going. I loved everything about this. But again, this is where you shined, especially you, Chris, shined here with talking about Joseline Navarro. And I'm going to let Astrid talk more about this because I know she's got a ton of this in her notes. But go ahead, Astrid.
You're not stealing my notes? Wow, thank you.
Not this week.
Not this time. No, but yeah, that's really another part that really stood out to me in the show too, because like you said earlier, like that part about Joseline's story, that's something I didn't know about. And I hadn't heard about it in any way, shape, or form. And to be able to hear that during commentary, I was able to think it was like, oh, this is what she is as a person. But you also mentioned on the other side of it about Charity being a power lifter too, and then Joseline's accomplishments in track too. So I like being able to show off both athletic sides of both of them, aside from just the wrestling part of it. And it just made them see them in a different light. And it's like just thinking, it's like I can imagine just like Joseline, like the runner as she is, and I can imagine like Charity as a power lifter and how that translates to wrestling after what you mentioned. So that was very interesting to watch as a whole here. But yeah, I really enjoy both of them. I have been more familiar with Charity because of NWA and her run there as in the women's tag team champions. So that's why I love the fact that this is mentioned when she's introduced as well. Something that is not. It's like we're not gonna forget it because it's from a different company. It's not from a different universe. It happens, so we're gonna talk about it. So I'm glad to see that being introduced here. But overall, I really enjoyed the match, and you adding that layer of their story there. I feel like it was one of those that I was more watching and listening, paying attention to not only the match, but listening to your commentary here that added another layer to it for me. That I didn't even take a lot of notes during the match because I was enjoying it that much.
Wow, thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. Yeah, this was just an easy story to tell, from a commentary standpoint. Charity is so easy to root for herself. I think I kind of got some brain fart during this match. So I remember I didn't get out things the way I wanted to get them out, but I'm glad it still came across well because I felt like I was just jumbling all over the place during that match. But she was on our first show ever. She went against Kiera Hogan. Initially, it was supposed to be somebody else in that spot, and then they had I guess they ended up being double booked. They couldn't take it, and so we asked Kiera, who would you like to see, and she mentioned Charity. Charity was pretty much just coming back from a knee injury. She started wrestling 6 months into it, tears her ACL, she's out, right? So not a lot of experience as a singles competitor. Her first match back is a hardcore match versus Danny B. They had so much chemistry in the match, and they were already somewhat, affiliated before the injury, but Danny B is already the star. They come together and become the King Bees, but Danny B is always looked at almost like I'm trying to think of I guess maybe Sean to her Marty in a way. And that might be a little hindsight because I just remember as a kid seeing them as even, but in some ways people saw Danny B as the star of the tag team. I guess you could say she was
I would say Matt and Jeff. Matt and Jeff is a better comparison.
Or I was going to say Booker to Stevie Ray,
Okay.
Since they're from Texas. But they Danny retires. And so she's done with wrestling. She wants to go in a different direction, and I get it. So then it's like it's on Charity, and she wants to continue this thing. And she's admitted to me personally, she's had imposter syndrome. And before ASÉ first booked her, and our first show 2 years ago, she wasn't getting a lot of solo bookings. Most of her bookings she was getting was with Danny B. Danny B was getting the solo bookings and the tag team bookings. She wasn't getting a lot. And so just going from that, somebody who didn't quite believe in themselves, to now all of a sudden you're number 86 in the PWI Women's 250. You're the inaugural ASÉ Women's Champion. As a matter of fact, it's the first solo title that she's ever had. All of her accomplishments as far as gold has all been tag team with Danny B. So for her last few months have all been this thing that's kind of, it's a way to just kind of solidify her in her mind. Like it's letting her know she belongs. And the interesting thing, peeling back the curtain a little bit, when she won the title, she didn't know she was going to win the title. It was called completely different in the back, but everybody was in on it besides Charity. She didn't know she was winning. So the reaction that you guys saw was a genuine reaction from her winning. When she's looking up and you said she reminded you of Jazz, that's her hero. And then Jazz is there smiling with the belt in her hand. It was a genuine reaction. The tears in the back afterwards was real. The promo that she cut was the realest promo. That was the genuine reaction for that particular moment. And for her to have her first solo title ever, and her hero is handing it to her. It was beautiful. And so I'm not a very emotional guy. There's 2 times I felt like my voice quiver a little bit. Billy Dixon, this last show, and then also, Charity King winning the title. I'm trying not to sound like it now thinking about it, but it's very beautiful, and it's very good to see somebody like that have that trajectory. And had Kiera Hogan, not said, hey, there's this girl out of Texas, what would have ended up happening? And, she's made the right friends along the way. She will fly up to North Carolina on her own time to train with LeBron Kozone, because she wants to get better with the mat wrestling and the transitions. And I think you're starting to see that. And I think that's a big reason why she's a huge rising star in pro wrestling in general right now.
I mean, like you said, number 86, it's hard to get into that top 100 in any of those lists.
Yeah.
And we'll talk more about the list when we get to, in a few minutes, we'll talk more about lists, because one man has a whole list of accomplishments with lists. We'll talk about him in just a bit. I love this match. I thought this was great. Charity gets the win. So now we'll see come February where she goes from here, where Joseline goes from here, because now not getting the win, out comes Suge again. Suge's he's trying to get this partnership with Isaiah. And I get it. I get it. He knows that he can't do this alone. He can't take out Khan alone. He knows that Khan's going to have too many people, too many obstacles. He can't do it by himself. So he needs to find somebody with the same objective, the same goal. And that's the Pan-African World Diaspora Championship off of Khan. And sometimes the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Mm-hmm. And in this case, Isaiah Broner, the problem is Suge D's friend, whether Isaiah can see it or not. But I love how this, after we just had Joseline have the moment in the match, to have that opportunity to shine, Isaiah don't say nothing in this promo, because she takes the mic from him and she cuts the promo. And I thought this was sensational. Her talking about that if Suge wants this, if he wants them, that's fine. He can have a tag team match against them, and he can find whatever hose and tricks that he can find. And Suge seemed a little taken aback by that. He seems to think his women are a bit of a higher class than that. I'm not one to judge. You know Suge better than I. I don't know what class of women Suge hangs around with. You tell me.
Classy, not ashy.
Okay. Well, he's already ashy, so he brings the ashy to the classy, so it's fine. Sure. But it'll be interesting in February to see where this goes and who his partner is going to be. Is he going to be able? I'm hoping, World Diaspora Championship, needing a partner. I'm hoping maybe we can get Trish Adora. I mean, that'd be some fun. She's over there in AEW. She might have some issues with Khan over there. So maybe there's a little bit of wiggle room. She
main evented the first ever ASÉ show. So, hey, we'd love to have Trish back. You never know who could join him.
But this is fun, and it's obviously setting up a match in February. We just don't know who the partner is, so it's Suge and a mystery partner taking on Isaiah and Joseline. Going to be a great show.
Which I believe will be the first mixed tag team match in ASÉ history too. So,
fun. After 2 years, that's impressive on the indies, because as we've talked about on all these indie shows, a lot of times you don't have enough women on these shows to be able to have women facing women all the time, or to have women's matches on the show. So a lot of times you get like a Shannon Levangie. We talked about it, about how much we love Shannon so much because of the fact that she gets to wrestle men so often, that it brings that level up a bit, because it's women wrestling women is one thing, and it's easy, and it has its own, positives and negatives. But we've listened to Gigi Ray talk about this, about how intergender wrestling has this added bonus of men have a different way of basing that women don't, and it lets you really shine in a different way. And to hear that this is the first kind of intergender tag match that you guys are going to have, mixed tag, over in ASÉ history after 2 years of the promotion, that's a big deal. 12 shows and you haven't had that yet. It's going to make this a big match.
I think I can't necessarily speak for Darius on this, but I believe, because I don't think we've spoken about this specifically. I think we wanted to make sure that the women get a chance to shine, and that it's not brought about in a way that you need a man to do that. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? This mixed tag is coming up, and we're excited that we're going to have that as well. But we wanted to make sure that women and women can tell stories that's women based, and you don't need a man to justify it or solidify what you're doing. And because and not saying that that's what intergender matches do, totally, it can be that, but I think that was one of the aims I think we had. But I am excited to see this cross interaction, just to see what ends up going on with it.
Yeah, Asher, do you have any last thoughts on the promo here from Joseline?
I was gonna say, I love her girly in power. I love when she took that mic and she took control of this. And she's like, I'm answering, Suge. It's not you, I'm doing it. But no, I love the fact that she took control of that, and she's the one that answered. And it's like, you're able to see that kind of interaction you usually wouldn't get in indie wrestling shows, because most of the time the guy would have taken the mic and answered it. And the fact that she does it, I like showing that dynamic too. It's something a little bit different from what I usually do. So I like having that spotlight on Joseline, the way she can have that moment to grow even more on the mic, because she's fun already on the mic, and I think she can do even more. So I just want to see that dynamic happening overall. But it's like, once I saw her taking that microphone and answering, it's like, I love that. Keep doing that. I love how you're confident too about it on top of it. So it's like, I love that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And now we're on to our men's ASÉ title main event of the evening. Now, I do have a question for you. We saw in ASÉ Wrestling 10 how commentary changed for one of the commentary partners when Cedric Alexander got in the ring, and Swole's commentary style changed a bit. She was a bit more one-sided in her commentary. I was very impressed with you in this, as your former tag team partner and a mentor of yours, LeBron Kozone, was in here, and you stayed pretty much down the line. You didn't stray either side. And I found that interesting when you mentioned that he was your tag team partner. I'm like, oh, I'm interested the commentary didn't stray very far, especially with a heel Darius up there. It would make sense for commentary to stray to the side of LeBron Kozone as opposed to staying on Darius.
Well, I will say, I'll point this out. When we were tagging, we were both young together. So if I would have stayed wrestling, I probably would have looked like a big brother, because I want to say I'm 10 years older than Kozone. I started kind of late at 26, if you could consider it late. But I will say that I don't know if I did that on purpose. It might just me like just regressing to the mean. Like I'm a journalist, so typically I have to call things down the middle. In general, there have been times where I've kind of railed on Darius Carter for cheating and doing things like that because it was needed at the time. And I think that at a certain point, like he may be doing these dastardly things and getting away with it and taking the shortcuts all along the way. But ultimately, he's our champion. And so, he deserves the respect to at least you respect his abilities and what he can accomplish in the ring. Cause he's damn good in the ring for sure. So I think I wanted to do that. I don't know if it was a conscious choice. I think it just kind of one of those things that kind of ended up happening because, I want to make sure I pick and choose my spots if I have some things to say about somebody, if I'm going to editorialize a little bit.
Now, I mean, Darius Carter is incredibly talented. He is well respected around the wrestling world, including, like I said, in those lists, because I don't remember the ring introductions precisely, but I remember there was at least 3 lists that Darius Carter was mentioned on. It was the PWI 500, obviously. It was the
BWI,
yeah, and then the
BRP, Black Wrestling Podcast. They have their own. They do like a top 50 Black wrestlers every year, and they put them as number 4 for. They come out like every June. So the period of June or July 2024 to June 2025, he was number 4 for them.
And that's got to be the highest of the independents, right?
I believe so. Let me try to pull it up in just but I want to say it has to be unless there was somebody else.
What's his name? Alex, maybe? I'm trying to think of.
So 1 was Obafemi.
Okay.
2 Mercedes Moné, 3 Bianca Belair, 4 Darius Carter. So yeah, that's the highest as far as the independent is concerned. Wow. It doesn't. Let's see. We don't get to another independent. If you consider Myron Reed an independent, he was number 11.
Oh wow! So the top 10, the only independent name in the entire top 10 of that list.
Well, I'm sorry. I missed Suge D. He's gonna get me for that. Suge D is number 9. He's number 9. He already texted me about the ashy lines that I was saying during the match. So he's gonna get me. No, Suge is my guy. Yeah. He's number 9. So then it's Myron Reed at number 11.
137, Ashford. 137. Make sure to write that one down too.
It's only because when I look at Suge D, I see him in reverence. So I didn't see him as just an independent wrestler. I saw him, with that big reverence. So I just missed that. It was a quick oversight from my part.
Is this the backtracking going? Are you really good?
Yeah. I'm cleaning that up.
If you can backtrack that good, the Panthers might want you on defense.
Defense is going well for him right now. It's the offense that has questions, but we can talk about it another day because I can go in on that forever. Panthers playbook on YouTube right now if you want to listen.
Absolutely. A friend of mine started training at 50. He got broken, but DDP, Batista, those are, legendary names of Hall of Fame WWE wrestlers, WCW wrestlers that started in their 40s. Yeah. I believe it was for those guys. So it's like, it's never too late to start professional wrestling. You never know if the right connections you can get where you get. God, this match was fantastic.
Kozone, what do you think about the entrance though?
Yes, I was about to say, how did they talk about the entrance?
I mean, I wanted to talk about the rest of. We could talk about Darius Carter's entrance. The middle school orchestra I thought was sensational. I loved it.
Yeah, it was. When Darius told me that idea, I was like, "That's beautiful. It was needed at a certain point. It was needed. And I think it made it big. I think the audience liked it. It was a nice surprise for the audience. Not sure how it came across because I haven't gone back to watch the show through the stream yet. But like in the building from where I was sitting, you see the orchestra lining up and the fans know what's happening. All of a sudden, people start gathering towards the aisle with their phones. Everybody was doing this. And what's funny is all those people were booing him. And that so some of them were high schoolers, but all of those kids went to that same middle school at a certain point, whether they
Okay.
go there currently or some. I think the oldest person was a senior in high school, and their teacher. I had to talk with her beforehand. The guy they're playing out is a heel, so if they hear certain things, they hear boos. It's not to them. So she let them know a little bit. She told me afterwards that when they first heard the boos when he came out, it did frighten some of them because they've never been booed while playing, and they had to. I think you could kind of hear it a little bit, at least from where we were at. There's a certain point where I think some of them went flat because they were looking around at each other like, "Oh my God, are we sucking right now?" And then I think they remembered, and I feel like you saw more attitude from them as they were doing it. Even though the cameras was mostly on Darius Carter, that was the cool part about the live aspect, is that in real time I could notice the kids like, "Yo, what?" into oh yeah, let's get into it. So I thought that was a cool feature for it, and all the kids said they'd come back and do it again if there's another opportunity. So I thought that was cool, and the fans, that was one of those moments too, where going back to the Ashy thing, they forget who won, what moves are done. They just remember somebody was played out with this cool intro within the orchestra. So
do you know, you said that Darius told you this idea. Did he tell you the lead time he had to give to the orchestra to be able to learn the song? Or was it something that they just picked up on the day and just did it?
I don't know the lead time. I think that they were given sheet music and to look at ahead of time, and then they all had sheet music in front of them to play. I don't think they really rehearsed that together until that day. When I was telling the teacher, the teacher Julie, I can't remember her last name, she was just amazing, helping us with all that. We went through and blocked it out before the show, and where the kids are going to be, that type of thing. At that point, she didn't know how many were actually going to show up. She was like, it could be 10 kids, could be 30 kids. I have no clue. She was like, there's a bunch of kids interested. We'll see what actually happens. She ended up having more than what she anticipated. I think around 24 kids were there. And so they gathered there. They went downstairs. The music room was downstairs close to the locker rooms, and they practiced a little bit ahead of time. And when it was showtime, they came up there and they did their thing. They were reading the sheet music. So I think they played it together for the first time that day.
It was great. It was a surprise. I wish I hadn't seen it on Twitter before I saw the show, because it was the one thing I saw on Twitter before I saw the show was the people talking about the orchestra playing out Darius Carter. And I'm like, that's so cool. Yeah. And then I'm like, that's a cool idea for a heel.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Then you get into the wrestling portion of this, and you're like, the heels getting the cool entrance, the heels getting the crowd to, that interesting crowd moment, because normally those things are safe for baby faces. Mm-hmm. Heels don't normally get that kind of a cool entrance like that. So
Khan got it too. So two heels have gotten the crazy intro so far.
Well, I mean, Khan got a different version of it, but yeah,
I guess different version, but it's still something like almost like a grand celebration of who they are. Yeah.
Astrid, do you want to go into talking about Darius Carter versus LeBron Kozone?
I like the part too with Ed mentioned with you doing commentary, mentioning that not only he's your former partner, but also mentioning that LeBron has trained a lot of people that we know about from so many different companies, which is something that I didn't know about. So it's great to learn about that kind of thing, and like that made me see him in a different light, because I'm thinking, compared to Darius, who's more well known in that aspect of it, I'm thinking like, I was thinking LeBron was more like a rookie, and it's like, and then you mentioned the names and how often he has trained people and how many people he's trained so far and how long has been the business there. I went, okay, so he's not even somebody new, and look at the history that they have already and the experience, which is something that I didn't know about. So it's interesting to learn stuff like this from like individual perspective that you bring during commentary. But here for me, it was the entrance too, because something that, again, like the Ashley moment that really stood out during the match, because I didn't know about it. I hadn't been on the social media. I didn't look at anything. I wanted to just watch the show in itself first. So it's something that really stood out to me, just thinking like, I love how Darius just gives the crowd the moments to like really boo him. It's like, it's not often to get the heel to get, it's like, I'm going to give you that moment for you to react the way you want to react. I'm not going to tell you what to do. You're just going to do it from like naturally as it is. So I love that aspect of it. But again, it's like it's a fun match. I like how they have a great balance with each other, and I like how they're both able to like really show off of each other here. And I love matches like that because that way you can see, you can come out and say, I saw something from both individuals. It wasn't just like this one took over or this one took over, but not. I like how the fact that they really take turns during the match. Um, I like having the part with Dante coming up here and having a little distraction with the title as well. And I love the fact when you get to point out things like this later, and then you mentioned the commentary that that's his mentor. So just think of that aspect on top of it, what just happened. It's just like, oh, how is he of all people going to be here and interrupt this match and interfere the way he did because his mentor's involved. So I think that was another interesting layer to the storyline in itself that we got here. So something that really like stood out to me as well. It's like, of all people, you would think like he will be like, if anything, helping him during the match. So it's like you don't expect that to happen as it does. So it takes you by surprise, and something that really stood out during the match too.
Yeah, I had a bad feeling when I saw Dante come out there. I was like, oh no,
Uh-oh.
oh no, don't do it, don't. Because I was rooting for Kozone. I've never gotten a chance to watch a Darius Carter match from beginning to end, but I've seen clips and I love Darius. I think he's great. I think he does his character work is sensational. Just he knows who he is. He knows who he is. He knows what he is, and he's going to do everything it takes to soak it, like you said, soak in those moments. He seems like the kind of wrestler who, if he can make somebody in the crowd cry, if he can get people yelling and screaming and trying to punch him, he'd consider that the best day of the work that he's ever had. Like it feels like that makes him stronger. It makes him better. And so this crowd constantly booing him felt like it was giving him energy. It was giving him the ability to keep going. When LeBron hits his finish and hits the muscle buster and he kicks out at 2, it's like, boom, that's that moment where it's like that crowd just got into it. And that crowd, is getting on Darius for this. It's like, oh my God, he kicked out of this. What do we got to do from LeBron? And I'm like, oh, that's the moment where I knew that this wasn't going to happen. I'm like, oh, damn. Because like I said, I want part 2 of that Kozone versus Cedric Alexander match, because we know Cedric's waiting on the other side for whoever wins this match.
There's more coming. There's absolutely more coming. Now, Cedric is owed his one-on-one, so his one-on-one is coming up. This match was great. It was beautiful. One of the things I love about Darius and about Kozone is that they can tell the story that's needed to be told for where they are on the match on card, and that may not sound like a big thing, but like that's a real skill. Like sometimes you have to be able to analyze what's on the card, what's going on, and how I can tell the best story that's going to be memorable within all of that. That's how you get an ashy elbow thing, right? Because like what a triple threat match we have to start off, and then another triple threat match in the tag team. So you're going to see crazy spots here. You have a great women's match that's coming up for a title. You have a great men's match that's coming up for a title. How do I, make myself stand out and tell the right story? And it's not always doing the most in the match. And so those guys know what to do, and they put on an actual main event, I think, wrestling match. It had a big fight feel. It felt really good. And I love seeing both of these guys kind of get their just due. They've been wrestling about the same amount of time. Kozone is a little bit younger. He started when he was like 15, I believe. And he's like right at 30 now. And he's so good. One of the things about him, and I'm glad he's getting his just due, the reason why his wrestling school even comes about. When I first met him, I started training in wrestling. Somebody sends me this, Facebook, invite. All of a sudden I'm looking at it, and then this guy, he's young at the time. Like, I don't think he was 18 yet. He wants to start this promotion, Firestar Pro Wrestling. He has his first event in Eden, North Carolina, and he already came into wrestling with the idea of being an entrepreneur. That ring that we wrestle in is his ring. Those lights that are up were his lights. A lot of the crew were his students. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like one of the referees on the event, the guy that wears the shorts, one of his students. You know, so much of his influences around here. And he was just a young guy with a dream. And he wanted to make wrestling, you know, even a few, like 12 years ago, 13 years ago when I was wrestling, it still was a little closed, and it could have been a little cliquish in some ways because people were trying to protect what wrestling was. And he was the first person around here in this area to really open it up. He was posting clips of what they were doing training in like 2016, and people were like, you shouldn't do that, brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he's been kind of doubted along the way. And then, you know, Griff Garrison gets to Ring of Honor. And what's the other guy that he used to team with who also was there? Those are his like first and second students ever. All of a sudden they get to Ring of Honor. And then Griff Garrison goes on to AEW. And, you know, we see Javon Evans, we see Jackson Drake, what they're doing right now. And then there's others who are, you know, going to be looked at very soon here as well. You know, SoFly, Manny Lowe.
I was going to say, so one of them just got signed to a WWE Evolve contract, if I remember correctly, right?
So Jaquan McNair is a student from Lodi. And so, but he has gone to Firestar to, like, Lodi isn't like the best, like, mat technician. You know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't has a different style than Kozone. So he's gone to Firestar to learn some of that. So he is a mentor to Jaquan McNair, which kind of helps along with the story. Like, because there's a lot of people who've gone to Kozone, they've maybe started off somewhere else and go to him to clean up a little bit and add a little bit of like a little bit of, you know, seasoning to what they're already doing. Charity King is like that, has that story. What's the guy I can't remember his name right now. But he trains there a lot. Isaiah from the Party group. I can't think of it.
Cassidy.
Isaiah Cassidy.
Private Party.
Private Party. He's there a lot because he lives in North Carolina. So many, people. Charity King. And so this guy, he's starting to now get his just due. He was the guy that was kind of looked over. Then all of a sudden, the guy that was training the guys, and people wanted to be involved in it. And then DPW comes along and starts pushing him for the wrestler that, you know, he could really be. And now he's getting booked internationally. And, you know, he Blood and Guts that in Greensboro. He had an opening match with Griff Garrison that won't be televised. Amazing match, teacher versus student. And the Greensboro Coliseum is chanting Kozone, Kozone. How amazing is that? I don't know how many people were there, maybe 12,000 people. How amazing is that for an unsigned independent guy?
Yeah. And you brought that up in commentary too.
Yeah. And it's just, I forgot I did that. So thank you. Like, you know, that's one of those things that's really, really cool to see that happen for him. And they were also chanting Firestar, the name of his wrestling school and promotion. So, I am also a former Firestar heavyweight champion. I'll put that out there. But it's amazing to see him and what he's been able to do. And hats off to him. This is a great spot for him. These two guys telling a great story. And Darius Carter, real heel. There's heels that will make people boo. And then after the show, they're out to sign autographs. Darius will literally sit in his trunks until the last people have left to go change, just so nobody can see him and not get involved, because he's a real heel. He doesn't have merch. He's not going to have merch. He doesn't want to have merch. So, and he's great at what he does, man. And he's such a good guy. Don't tell him I said that though.
I mean, we'll clip it and make sure it's out on the internet and everything else. The other thing I want to say is on commentary, you trying to get to Swole a couple times, and you know, popping the crowd and popping me a little bit too. You pulled out the Hulk Hogan, Cedric Alexander line with "That Doesn't Work For Me, Brother," on her about Cedric not getting involved in this match. And because for those that don't know, in the last one, Kozone and Cedric both had the opportunity. Whoever won got to take on Darius at this show.
Yeah.
And the match ended in a time limit draw. So they were both given the opportunity to make it a triple threat. And Cedric said, no, I want a singles match. You can go first. I'll go second.
Yeah.
Which apparently Swole somehow forgot about. And I can't imagine why she might forget about something like that. But that's when you pulled out the Hulk Hogan. Yeah.
Conveniently, yeah.
And then, of course, popping in the local crowd, you're bringing out a Kings of Comedy reference on commentary when you're talking about, I believe it's a DL Uglee reference with rinsing it off. You wrench it off. It was an arm wrench that you were doing. You both kept doing that.
It wasn't so much a reference to the Kings of Comedy to like, I mean, that's how my aunts and grandma all talked. Like that was just real life. Like you hear that, like, boy, go into the bathroom and wrench off, so from North Carolina, that's what you're going to hear.
I just remember because the Kings of Comedy movie that they did, the one performance that I got to see of it took place from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's a little thing, and I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense for me. It's the thing that the local crowd would pop. I popped for it. I thought it was great. But Darius gets the win, so Darius versus Cedric Alexander probably at the February show. If not the February show, somewhere in the near future. We still got Billy. We got Billy Dixon still out there looking for a shot at Darius Carter, not necessarily for the championship, but just for retribution for everything that he's done to him. This February show is looking like it's going to be a big one. Very excited for that.
Yeah, Top Shooters versus TME for the ASÉ Men's Tag Team title. Charity King will put her title on the line. It looks like it's going to be Darius Carter versus Cedric Alexander. And we're going to have our first mixed tag team match. Joseline Navarro and Isaiah Broner versus Suge and question mark. So it's really shaping up to be a good show. So it's going to be we're hoping a few things kind of work out too for the fans. Yeah.
So why don't we go ahead and let you give an opportunity to promote not only yourself, but promote ASÉ Wrestling, where you can find you, them, everything that you've got going on. Just go ahead and take this time for you. I'll even give you the big screen.
All right. Don't go to my Twitter account right now because it's been hacked and somebody is promoting some crypto, but typically that's what I'll push you, or Instagram at Chris Lee TV. That's how you find me. My last name is LEA. If you're so inclined to hear what I have to say about the Carolina Panthers, listen to Panthers Playbook. You can find that on YouTube, and it's one of the more watched / listen to Panthers podcasts out there. They mentioned at the top, I'm a documentary producer. I produced a couple documentaries. One is a pro wrestling documentary that's currently up for an Emmy. We'll find out on February 14th if I will be an Emmy winner. It's called When Giants Walked Here. It is the history of pro wrestling through a venue in Raleigh, North Carolina called Dorton Arena. It was shown through PBS North Carolina last year, and then also PBS nationally. So if you go to the PBS app on your phone and you search When Giants Walked Here, you can watch that right now. It is the most watched independent acquisition that PBS had in 2024. Jim Cornette gave us some time on this podcast to talk about it, and so excited to possibly win an award for it and have that out there for fans to watch. Also, if you look up Ghosts in the Stadium, so another some Murrow award-winning documentary I did, Edward R. Murrow, for WRAL. It's about the racist past of football stadiums in North and South Carolina. Some things that will shock you in there. And outside of that, let's talk about ASÉ Wrestling. 2 years deep into it, ASÉWrestling.com, patreon.com/ASÉ Wrestling. If you get any of the tiers on Patreon, you instantly get any of our streams with all that, so you can watch us live. We'll be back February 28th, I believe is going to be the date, in Charlotte, and exciting things coming up for the future. Of course, we're expecting to have all three of our ASÉ titles on the line: the men's title, women's title, men's tag team titles, and hopefully the Pan-African World Diaspora title on the line too that night. So excited for a big time future, and excited to just kind of create this great platform for some great wrestlers to get their names out there and show what they can do. Sorry, that was a lot. You told me to. You gave me that was a lot.
I want you to record everything. I am hoping to take you and Swole up on the offer and come visit this summer. I'm going to try to make the trip down to North Carolina. So hopefully on one of your summer shows, I can because this is something I've watched it a couple times, but like you said, you know, when we were talking about the orchestra thing, it's something you got to feel. It's something you got to be at. It's something you got to, you know, that independent wrestling is meant to be enjoyed as much as we love enjoying it, you know, on the internet. It's meant to be enjoyed in person. I have my local promotion that I love to go to. And I don't do a lot of traveling because fat man don't fly, but I'm going to make the drive down to North Carolina. There's some things that I can do and some people I get to visit with me and my girl. So I think we're going to make it a trip down there. So hopefully we can convince Astrid to make the trip up from Florida and we can go ahead and make it so we can all go out there and enjoy a great, fantastic night with ASÉ.
Hey, if you're in Orlando, that's where my mom lives. So it's easy to get from Orlando to Charlotte. So
I got family in Charlotte too. So, and I've been to Asheville. So I've been a few times. So it's been a nice day.
From the 407 to the 704.
If I could move anywhere, it would be one of those places. It's so quiet and it has that like small town feel that I really enjoyed about it. I also went to Wilmington because of One Tree Hill, because one of my favorite shows. So being able to see everything in real life, I just love that. So Wilmington was one of my favorite places. But I went to Charlotte. I forget if my family's still in Charlotte or not, or if it's somewhere close by. But I know we traveled to Asheville one of the last times that I went as well. So I've been there a few times. It feels like a second home at this point.
Yeah, North Carolina is a good place. So a lot of talented people coming out of it, even in the wrestling world. So you probably wouldn't have expected that. You know, No Way Jose is from Durham. You know, originally from I think New Jersey. Of course, his parents from Dominican Republic. But you know, good dude, love him. A lot of great wrestlers come out of the area. So.
Ashley, why don't you go ahead and tell the people where they can find you and what we've got coming up here on Taking Over next week?
No, that's your job. I keep forgetting everything. I keep messing that up. I'm not doing that again. But you can find me. My Twitter boost guy is Astrid Pizarro, and my Instagram and Threads is Astrid Pizarro 20. If you're here, you're most likely on my YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button and the like button too. We love having Chris here, so it was wonderful that he messaged me when he did after the last show. So when we had the opportunity to be able to do this, because I know you said you work on Tuesdays very often. So when you said that you had the chance to do this and it worked out pretty well to be able to talk about the anniversary show, I said, why not? Let's do it. We love ASÉ, so we're going to keep watching ASÉ. So why not keep, making that connection and keep talking about ASÉ as much as we can. So I'm really grateful that you took the time today to be able to be here with us, because I know it's late in the evening for you too.
All good. I mean, I usually do the 10 and 11 o'clock news. So I'm normally up. This is the time I'm normally walking through my door. So this is typical time for me. But yeah, anytime I'm not working, if you guys need me, I'm ready. So I'm used to broadcasting late at night. So
absolutely. You can find me at all the places down here, but I'm going to talk about what we've got coming up next. We had planned to do Reality of Wrestling next week. However, unfortunately, the show is not still up on YouTube, so we're going to make a bit of an audible. I have pre-recorded the Uprising event, Uprising 7, from the Dreamwave Uprising crew. So we're going to go back to LaSalle, and we're going to go ahead and do Uprising 7, which it features the Good as Gold women's Rumble, and also is going to have the WWE ID Women's Champion Laney Luck defending her title, and the brand new Uprising Dreamwave Women's Champion Becca is going to be taking on Shayna Baszler. So we're very excited for all that. We got that that show is going to be next week. It also involves Kylie Alexa taking on Brittany Brooks and a handful of other matches. So I'm very excited. That will be our show next week. And then depending on if Reality of Wrestling can get that show on YouTube, we will do that. Otherwise, we'll be heading back to LaSalle again the week afterwards to do Dreamwave's Good as Gold for the men's, as we have their full show for Dreamwave. And we got some things in the works for next year. Astrid's been doing some big networking, so we're very excited for some things going on. It
never ends. It just changes a little bit.
Booker extraordinaire. Booker extraordinaire here for our local establishment. But we got something cooking in Texas, so we'll keep that on the back burner, and that'll be probably at least two, if not three shows that we're taking in late January and into February. So we're very excited for that. And of course, once ASÉ has their next show in February, we'll be back right here going ahead and covering it, because we can't get enough ASÉ Wrestling. Of course, like Chris said, all the ASÉ stuff, especially their Patreon, You can also find them at ASÉWrestling.com, ASÉ Wrestling on Twitter, ASÉ Wrestling on YouTube, where you can find all of their past shows for free. I believe all of them are up there at this point now, right? I think Close to Midnight's about to come out if it hasn't already.
If so, to see the shows in full, you said on YouTube.
Yeah.
To see the shows in full, either Patreon or Patreon is where they're at. We have like certain matches or whatever, and I think there may be like an event or two, but that were free because we did a free set during the summer. But everything that can be seen can be seen over at Patreon or ASÉWrestling.com. So,
and by the way, the Patreon tiers are fantastic, so you can go ahead and do that. Or if you just want every show and just want to buy the shows and just show support, that way you can go to ASÉWrestling.com. That's how we did it this month. That's how we did it this show. We went to ASÉWrestling.com and we bought it. I was getting worried because there wasn't a link on the website for the longest time, and it was getting like it was under a week, and I'm like, do we need to message Chris or Darius or somebody to figure out when this link is going up? Because I want to make sure we get this show so we can do the show.
It's always going to go up a little late for us. We really would love people to buy tickets, but if you can't buy a ticket, please get the stream. So, we don't, especially the local crowd. We don't want the local crowd just to be like, we'll stay home. It's better if you come in person. So.
Independent wrestling is so incredible in person. If you've been to a WWE show, you've been to an AEW show, or you've been to a TNA show, you don't understand the massive difference that there is going to an independent show live. It's just a different vibe. It's a different feel. The crowd, the way the shows are booked, the feeling in the venue, and the accessibility. If you've ever been to a WWE show and go, oh man, I wish I could go get an autograph from this person or that person, go to an independent show, because all of those talents are out there. They're selling their merchandise, except for Darius Carter, of course. They're selling their merchandise. You can go ahead and get an autograph. You can get an 8x10 and support the independent wrestlers. Support them at the shows. If you go to a show, buy a pin, buy an 8x10, take a selfie if they allow it, like all those kinds of things. Like those are the things that are going to make the independent show that much better. It's well worth it. I love going to my independent shows. I've been trying to get Ashley to go to an independent show for a while now, so hopefully she'll start listening to me soon.
Hey,
there's plenty in Orlando, Astrid. If I ever come down and visit my mom and sister down there, I'm gonna hit you up and we're gonna go to some independent show.
Yeah, I need some recommendations. I have a few, but I just don't know which one to pick. But I went to the ones in Canada. I went to 2 in Canada, though.
You did go to 2 in Canada, but the week that you decided to go to Canada without me, you didn't take me with you.
No, you weren't there in Photoshop version.
I was there doing a Photoshop version of. So our local establishment team is mostly all based out of the same place in Canada, and then there's me and Astrid in the States. And so it's one of those things where Astrid went to go with them, so all of the Canada crew and Astrid were there, and I'm like sitting at home, that guy on the porch just swinging on the thing. Everybody's without me. Chris, thank you so much for stopping by. We greatly appreciate it. This has been a ball. Thank you for all the inside, just information about the promotion, about the branding, and about the show itself, because it's such a great. It's so much better to have people who are there, who understand what's going on and can give you all the little pieces to make these shows even better.
Absolutely. And thank you for having me on. ASÉ is Darius's company, but I feel like it's just as much as my baby as it is his. Again, this is something we, originally started talking about for fun, like 2017, 2018, started making real plans in 2019, and to see those plans start to, really come to fruition and what it's already turned into and the impact that it's had so far, it's been great to see. So I'm always going to be a champion for it. And so whatever I can do to help put out the word, I'll do that. And, I take it very seriously. So I'm not just rolling up, bell time is 6 o'clock and I'm not rolling up at 5:45 about to call some matches. Like it's an all day thing. It's an all week thing, leading up to the show. I mean, shoot, more than that, because Darius and I have to talk about some plans for February very soon. So, but it's a labor of love along with other things that we're doing. So individually. So thank you guys so much for covering it yourselves. You're helping to, put the word out there about it. We really appreciate you guys for listening and doing things like this to talk about our shows.
Anytime, man. Anytime. Well, thank you all for joining us as well on the Twitter, on the YouTube, all that kind of fun stuff. Leave a comment, leave a like. We're getting close to our watch hours for the first level of monetization. We're at about 70 watch hours short. So if you can go ahead and leave a playlist on in the background, we greatly appreciate that, as we're trying to hit that first level of monetization to get super chats so you can make me say all kinds of weird things when you donate a super chat. So hopefully we can get there. Until the next time, we'll see you later. Goodbye, everybody. Wrong vote.
I am in misery.